In that case, Madam Chair, I wait for the labeling questions until they testify.
And they're
Thank you,
coming
Mr.
right
Bent.
up. All right, thank you, Mr. Bent.
Thank you.
Josh Stanley. And he will be followed by Bob Winnicky and Betty Aldworth, who may wish to come up together. Mr. Stanley.
Madam Chair. My name is Josh Stanley. I'm here in favor of the working draft of this bill. I'm a medical marijuana patient. I'm the president of Coloradans for Medical Marijuana Regulation, and I'm also the owner of the Peace and Medicine Center here downtown. Thank you for the opportunity to address you today. I'd also like to thank Representative Massey for taking the time to address this issue regarding our industry. We stand at a very unique opportunity in the state of Colorado, being the only state that has medical marijuana in its constitution. We have an incredible opportunity to set a precedent for the rest of the nation, and I think these processes and working together, we're going to do just that. I'd like to give you some insight as to how our facility operates, and I'd like to also note I'm not taking away the viability of the way that other dispensaries operate. There are numerous other viable options. At the Peace and Medicine Center, we're set up as a holistic wellness center. We offer everything from yoga, massage, acupuncture, Reiki, chiropractic, opiate addiction counseling, psychotherapy, dietary and nutrition classes. Each one of these services are offered free to our patients. There's absolutely no charge. I think it's also important to note our internal control processes. We take extensive patient records and keep a database of what strains are working for each patient. We have a very extensive inventory management system and a point of sale system. We have a strong accounting system, great accountants and great bookkeepers. What I'm saying as such is we're ready for the audit. We're ready for them to come in and track what we've grown, what we're selling, and where it's being grown. Now, I've changed my testimony just a little bit in light of listening to the Attorney General, John Souther's representative testimony. And what I'd like to do is just give you a story of what's been happening at my dispensary, and then also talking to other owners what's happened at their dispensary, and the rules and regulations that we've already put in place to remedy this, that we've been acting on since we were opened a year ago. And this will deal with the black market issue. And the amount of people that show up to my dispensary door with duffel bags under their arms with illegal marijuana, people who are not caregivers, continues to increase every week. These people show up, we ask them, where's your caregiver license? Do you have an EIN number? Do you have a corporation set up? The answer, no, no, no. We give them a few minutes to leave before we will notify police, notify authorities. So what this really tells us is a couple of things. We're actually increasing the security level because the black market is now coming to us. We're making a dent, certainly, in the black market. And we also know that we're creating a safer haven for the patients and having to go to a residential back door to pick up their medical marijuana. Further, we have the privilege of paying tax revenue on top of that.
And Mr. Stanley, your time is up.
Okay.
Thank you for that testimony. I'm sure we'll have some questions for you. And do we, in fact, Representative McCloskey?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Stanley, I just want to say thank you for being here. I went and toured, just for the members of the audience, I went and toured his dispensary last week, and I was thoroughly impressed with the professionalism of you, your doctor, and your team. You thoroughly answered all the questions. And I was most compelled by a story about I believe it was an Afghanistan veteran who had lost both of his legs serving America in Afghanistan and had a lot of just issues from that experience and was turning, I think, to a difficulty with Percocet and alcohol. And through your relationship with him, you were able to help him address those PTSD issues. And I believe he's reaching out to over 150 veterans. And I think that's just a wonderful service that you're providing, and I just wanted to publicly applaud that.
Representative McCloskey, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stanley. Representative Court?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You said something that I want to ask a little bit further about, and that was that you have black market people actually come to you and offer to sell their product to you. Do you think this happens a lot? I mean, not just to you, but all over?
Mr. Stanley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I do think it happens a lot. As the president of CMMR, we get a lot of stories like this, and the number of black market marijuana growers that are approaching not just people in the CMMR, but people outside of that, other dispensary owners, is rising. When you have the black market coming to a medical marijuana facility, it tells you that their market is drying up. And I mean, what other explanation, I think, could we infer from that?
Representative Court.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So why is their market drying up?
Well,
Mr. Stanley.
Well, I think that a lot of their previous patients were medical, and I think that we've seen this boom happen in the last 9 months. And so we're seeing that shift from these people having to get their medication from the black market where they don't have any idea what's in their medication, molds, mildews, pesticides, and they're coming into the light. They're feeling more comfortable because we're all sitting in this room right now, and we're tackling the issue for them. And so they've previously had to go to the black market because there was no other place for them to go.
Thank you.
Representative Waller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sir, I was just wondering, I asked a question earlier, how many patients are you a caregiver to?
Mr. Stanley.
I'm a primary caregiver for over 550 patients.
Representative Waller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've heard this primary caregiver versus caregiver issue. I thought the Constitution didn't make a distinction that way, and there is just caregiver.
Well, in fact, I think the Constitution does make a distinction when it mentions the affirmative defense.
Can you explain that to me just a little bit, please?
If a person already has a primary caregiver and they want to come to our facility, the first thing we check for is a legal medical marijuana registration card for the state of Colorado. And if they have that, then they're allowed to fill out our paperwork. We create a file on those people the same as we would if somebody signed me personally over as their primary caregiver. So it becomes our responsibility to be able to take care of that person who is in need of their alternative medicine.
Representative Waller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So you're not any other sort of caregiver other than a primary caregiver, correct?
Mr. Stanley.
Well, I'm a caregiver. I have over 2,500 patients that come to my facility. 550 of them have designated me as their primary caregiver.
Okay.
So what we're doing, in essence, if you try, let's look at it in a numbers perspective. Okay, let's take the number that we're getting right now at 60,000 patients on the registry. Okay, 60,000 patients is an awful lot of patients for just a few caregivers to be able to take care of. So what would that in turn do if we weren't able to serve other patients with a medical marijuana card, but push these people back into the black market or into the residential grow situation?
Representative Waller.
And one last question, Madam Chair. Just explain to me what the difference is. You have 2,500 patients that you're a caregiver to and 550 that you're a primary caregiver to. What's the difference in services between those two sets of people?
Mr. Stanley.
There's no difference between the services that we offer. The 550 that I'm primary for, we give the same level of care, all the free health services, just like we would anyone else. The difference is, and I think what you're asking, I hope I can clarify this better, is the 550 primary that I have, that dictates how many plants I'm able to grow.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Stanley? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bob Winnicke. You must be Betty Aldworth.